What a difference a day makes, and the people in this country are euphoric. I hope you got to see the inauguration. President Trump started the morning at 5 o'clock, and when I fell asleep at 10 o'clock that night, last night, Trump was still going. And the crowds were absolutely so optimistic and so excited everywhere he went, including the crowd in the rotunda for the inauguration, Republicans and many Democrats alike. Well, I was really worried about the president's safety. So when they said they were moving the inauguration inside the rotunda of the Capitol, I did breathe a sigh of relief, and I heard a lot of other people express a similar sentiment. But as it turned out, the day was basically flawless, except for the frigid cold temperatures, and even those moderated a little bit. The inauguration took place exactly on time, and at 12 o'clock, the 47th president of the United States was the new president. And as promised, President Trump issued a series of executive orders. He wasted no time in going straight to work. First of all, he rolled back 78 Biden executive orders. He issued an executive order to secure the border, and in doing so, also declared the southern border a state of emergency. The significance of that, he can now involve the military in helping secure the southern border. Yesterday afternoon, tragically, an ICE agent was murdered in the Northeast. So while most of the focus has been on the Mexican border, the Northeast, the northern border, is also a great concern. One of the executive orders that President Trump issued was that the death penalty could be imposed for any illegal alien who murders a police officer or agent of the federal government. I don't know the timing of the murder that occurred. I believe it was in Connecticut, and President Trump's issuance of the order invoking the death penalty. But regardless, the unfortunate tragedy certainly will galvanize people around support for imposing the death penalty in such cases. Now, for those who say that Elon Musk is unduly influencing the president, I guess they have some explaining to do when it comes to why the president removed the EV credits through executive order. So Biden imposed tax credits for anyone who would buy an electric vehicle. The credits could range up to as much as $7,500. Well, the market today has not reacted very favorably to that. Tesla stock is now down, at the time of this broadcast, almost $12 per share, which is about 3%, I believe. So you would think that if President Trump was going to reward his largest funder, that he would not have removed the tax credit. But obviously, Musk does not have as much influence as some people charge, or does he? You see, I think that a lot of people have really missed a point here. My personal belief is that Trump got rid of the tax credits because he felt that they were fundamentally wrong, that the taxpayers of this country should not be subsidizing the purchase of a luxury vehicle by people who can afford it. So the market today is punishing Tesla because the tax credit is gone. And of course, Tesla is the largest provider of electric vehicles in the United States. And so that must have been designed to hurt Musk. Well, the fact of the matter is, my own belief is that it was a policy decision and that personality and politics did not play into his decision. But in a very surprising, maybe not recognized sort of way, if there was a benefit, it actually probably is to benefit Tesla. Their gross profit on a car is somewhere between 15 and 18%, depending on the model. Meanwhile, every time Ford Motor Company sells an electric car, they lose $50,000. They have a negative gross profit on electric cars. GM has to have the tax credits as well in order to be able to make the transition to electric vehicles. So what does removal of the tax credits do? It really hurts Tesla's competition and really helps them, unintended perhaps sort of way, because they don't need the tax credit. They're profitable without it. Even Ford and GM's internal combustion engine cars only earn about 5% in gross profit. That means Tesla is already 3 times more profitable with their automobiles before the tax credits even come into the picture. So a counterintuitive result is that Tesla benefits from canceling the tax credits while the big three suffer. That's the way I see it. So maybe the market will understand it, and Tesla stock can now go back up. I would like that because I have a fair amount of Tesla stock. President Trump also declared declared members of the cartels as international terrorists. Again, what does that mean? It means we can use the military to go after them. Now, the question remains whether President Trump, as the commander-in-chief, will allow or order our military to go inside the sovereign territory of Mexico to go after the cartels. My own belief is that he will not unless Mexico does not act. And so far, Mexico has turned a blind eye to the cartels. They've turned a blind eye to illegals coming through Mexico to then enter at our southern border. So I think the party's over. I think that Trump is, in effect, telling Mexico, you got to get involved. You've got to stop. You've got to police your own state. And if you don't, we will. So stay tuned. It will be very interesting to see what happens. I guess one of my favorite decisions that Trump made yesterday was to remove the security clearances for all 51 members of the intelligence community who signed that letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop smacked of Russian disinformation when they knew. And we now know that they knew with 100% certainty that that laptop was authentic. There was no Russian fingerprints on that laptop at all. So they just lied. And Trump, now the new commander-in-chief, revokes their security clearances. In other words, no more daily briefings for these self-righteous, self-important security members of the intel community, including Clapper and Brennan, who have been particularly vitriolic towards Trump. As promised, last night at about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30, President Trump signed an executive order pardoning all 1,500 January the 6th hostages, as he refers to them. The amount of harm that Nancy Pelosi and the Jan 6 Commission did to these 1,500 people is not, you cannot estimate it. The psychological harm, the financial harm, the reputational harm is, it is shocking beyond belief that a leader in this country could go to such lengths and recklessly ruin the lives of 1,500 people. Now, they know they've lied. They know they made it up. The January 6th insurrection, as they've tried to label it, was not an insurrection. President Trump was never even charged with creating or participating in an insurrection. It was a riot at best, or at worst, rather. But my belief, shared by many people, is that it was a staged event, that there were provocateurs inside the Capitol. We can start with riots. We need to look very closely into the Capitol Hill police officer who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt. I want justice for Ashley Babbitt. Michael Byrd is his name. But what happened? What happened at roughly 11:30 yesterday morning? Joseph Biden, the illegitimate president, on his way out of office, just as he came into office with a lie, he left office with a lie, and he granted presidential pardons to 6 of his family members, including his brother Jim Biden, and all of the members of the January 6th committee and their staffers, along with a host of other people. It is the most reckless act. It is totally consistent with him imposing a 2-tiered justice system. Most of America realizes that January 6th was a cooked deal, that Nancy Pelosi and God knows who else choreographed that to give cover for the illegitimate 46th president as he was taking office, so they could blame Trump, and it was a 2-prong approach to prevent Trump from ever being able to run for president again. Well, it's all backfired, and it's going to backfire more. Liz Cheney, off the hook. Adam Kinzinger, off the hook. Adam Shifty Schiff, off the hook. So here's what we need to do, Mr. President. We need to indict these people. Well, no, that's not, I got the order wrong. We need to investigate these people, make a referral to the FBI, and have all of these people investigated. Send out the best FBI agents we've got who are unbiased and conduct an investigation into the Joe Biden crime family and into the January 6th members of the committee. Start putting people under oath. I would start with Cassidy Hutchinson. Remember her? She's the gal who said President Trump reached over the shoulder of the Secret Service agent driving the Beast after his speech on the ellipse and ordered him to take him to the Capitol. And when he refused, President Trump grabbed the wheel. Well, that's funny because 3 Secret Service agents who were inside the automobile reported that no such thing happened. So Cassidy Hutchinson just lied. Pull her into an interview and ask her who she collaborated with, colluded with, to concoct that story. My suspicions are that it's going to point right back to Liz Cheney, because we know factually, because we've got the text, that Liz Cheney contacted this young lady. She's 24 years old. She was Mark Meadows' assistant, Cassidy Hutchinson, and coached her on what to say to the January 6th Commission. Now, to my knowledge, she was not pardoned. So if she lies to the FBI, she can go straight to jail. Do not collect $500. Do not pass go. Straight to jail. I think she'll tell the truth. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. But then we need to do the same thing with every single person who touched that committee. Then we need to bring indictments based on the evidence. Then we need to conduct a trial with a prosecutor, and if they choose to put up a defense, that's their privilege. And then we'll have a jury make a finding. Now, it's a lot of effort for basically naught, you might say. Biden would say. Pelosi will say. Schiff will say. What are they doing? You can't send them to jail because they're pardoned. Well, let's think about that. They're pardoned as of the pardon, but they're not pardoned for things that they do after the pardon. So if the FBI comes calling and they lie to the FBI, that is against the law. If you bring them before a grand jury and put them under oath to testify and they lie, that's called perjury. The pardons don't include that. That's what Martha Stewart went to jail for. That's what Leona Helmsley went to jail for, not the underlying crime. But look, I really am not trying to send those people to jail, although it would not displease me. But I don't want the damage to the country to occur just so we can get even. But getting even is part of the criminal justice system. It's called retribution, and that is one of the reasons that you have a trial and send people to jail. It is also a deterrent, and that's what I'm after. I want the truth, and I want a deterrent so that it never happens again. And these people need to exit the stage in disgrace. And I predict that that is exactly what is going to happen. And that's the truth. And I'm John Gordon. Let the golden age begin.